for practice, as far as guys out on the field, I think Calvin's the only one today. Probably won't do much. He'll be out there, but I think probably not too much for him today. Everyone else, again, kind of get out there and see how they feel. We've got some guys that are obviously trying to work back from some of the injury situations previous, so sometimes we get a little bit more out of them once we kind of go through stretch and see how they feel, and so we'll just see what it looks like when we get out there. Other than that, let's dive into questions and go from there.
Go ahead, Tim.
Hey, Coach. TJ's obviously had a pretty good start to the season here. Returns to Arizona, where he obviously had a great game last year. Just curious, where have you seen the biggest development in him from last year to where he's kind of started this season?
I'd say the biggest thing for us right now, in that second year, certainly, understanding more conceptually, offensively what we're doing and how the pieces fit together, understanding and taking a look at some of the different coverages that maybe he started to see at the end of last year, maybe that he didn't see early in the season, and kind of as he developed through that season. Defenses maybe paid a little bit of a different attention to him and some more specific type of coverages that he would have to deal with. Having that knowledge going into this year, I think that gives him a head start.
Thank you.
Yep.
Justin?
Hey, I know we talked a lot about Jeff's debut. I'm curious the difference between all the practice reps you get during training camp versus game reps. How different are those for a young player's development?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in-game experience, we obviously always talk about game speed. I certainly think there's game speed post-snap, but there's definitely game speed pre-snap too, along with the motions, the formationing, the adjustments, the communication. All of that happens at a much higher level, especially as a new player or a young player. Sometimes your communication may be a little bit hesitant. You may be, I would say, asking as you communicate, as opposed to, just having that pure confidence that comes with, in-game experience and reps and all the rest of it. So that's a big thing for us, trying to improve that. But I think that's a big difference when you go from practice to the game is, the speed of the pre-snap, the communication, and then obviously the length of the game, for him, in particular, the corners, very similar to the offensive line. Those groups that really don't rotate a lot during the game, those are the ones that now go from maybe a max of like a 29 or 30 rep practice to all of a sudden a 65 play game. And that's a lot at game speed. So those are the biggest differences here week one, or your first week out there compared to as you push towards and through the season.
I think it was yesterday you were talking about just the guys having a good practice. I'm curious, 0-2 start, the focus have been moving forward, focusing on the Arizona Cardinals. How do you like the way your guys have responded through all facets of the week, classroom, prep, and practice?
Yeah, I mean, I think our guys know that, it's we treat everything as a one-game season. I mean, that's what it is. We have 16 one-game seasons. And from that standpoint, we reset. We do a good job, I think, here of resetting every Monday and making sure that we, when we get done with the game from the previous week, that we push forward. We understand what we have to do to improve, and we go to work. I think that's the bottom line. We're here to work, and we're here to try to do everything we can to put ourselves in a position to play well on Sundays. And, really anything other than that is just kind of not really in our mindset. It's just kind of let's go out, let's work, let's get better, and let's go. And these guys are working this week, which is great.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Anything else, guys? Dave?
Sorry, got to turn my video on here for a second. I just wanted to know, Matt, 0-2, it's 16-game season. We talked about that a lot, right? Long season, so you still got 14 of these ahead and expanded playoffs. How, maybe you can just put in context, like how big of a hole, if it feels like this is at all for you guys right now, being 0-2 with so much of the season still in front of you?
I mean, I think for us, we just got to stay in the moment for this week. Let's not look big picture. I mean, that's the same thing we talk about in game. When you get outside the moment and you're outside that one particular play that you got to make, and you let everything else compound it. A lot of times, everything else can affect your execution on that particular play. It's no different for the games. We just got to focus on this game.
Gotcha. And then with Hunter Bryant, did he suffer any sort of setback, in practice the other day? How is he feeling right now, I guess, too?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just, pushing through just like we expected. I think we know that coming off the injury, there's going to be days where you feel really good and then days where you're probably sore. Just hasn't had that time. And also, conditioning is a big part of it for these guys right now, too. If you've missed some of that conditioning time of guys that, even though it's limited, we've had some time to kind of get into that multiple consecutive reps in a row type of shape. So we're still, just pushing ahead from that standpoint, progressing, and we'll see what it looks like.
And, since no one else is in the chat here to ask you questions, just one other thing. Since you made a road trip last week, second road trip, what did you learn from that experience going on the road of, how different it is, something that you may, adapt, use this week can help you second trip under the circumstances?
Yeah. I think a lot of it for us too is making sure that everybody's safe, and we're trying to do a good job with the information that we have, certainly from the league. They've been great. And with our own internal studies of the contact tracing and what do we do to keep players safer in the different environments that we're in. I think obviously the familiarity of traveling again, even though this is a longer trip, it's a little bit different. We're going to be out there. It's going to be a longer plane ride, a little bit different from a setup. Obviously the time change, every trip's a little bit different. So, I think at least there's some routine. We've got one under our belt from that standpoint, from a travel standpoint. So there'll be some routine to this one. And then hopefully we can just, stay focused on going out and playing well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ken Brown, last question.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. I got a question. This might be kind of philosophical. I just want to ask you. When you look at some of the teams around the league, like the Raiders, they identify as one thing. Pittsburgh, what you're getting when you go there. When you get this team the way you want it, what is going to be the identity of the Detroit Lions?
Yeah. Great question. I mean, I think, I love to talk this stuff. So, I think the Raiders, what's great about that organization is I don't think the identity of that team's changed, forever. It doesn't matter who the coach is or what the situation is there. I think that's always been the same. Pittsburgh, obviously I think they really built their identity in the 70s, but definitely through the decades, we've seen where Roethlisberger has kind of come in. They've always played, stout on defense, but, different element with him and the offensive side of the ball. And certainly through his career, that's, been ever changing too. I would say for us and the Detroit Lions, I think, for us, we're just trying to make sure that we're a tough football team, and we have that defined by certain things that we do during the game, and we want to play at a high level. We want to be competitive. We'd like to be a smart football team, which is something we're still working on from that standpoint, and eliminating some of the bad stuff that happens out on the field. And really for us right now, it's just being consistent. And making sure that we're not inconsistent in a lot of things that we do. And every team is different every year now in the NFL, and that's true. There's changeover every year, and certainly we've had a lot of changeover in the last couple of years. And, hopefully we have a little bit of a foundation now that we can build on, and these guys can start to grow and develop together as a team and push forward and kind of cultivate all of that that we talk about. But, hard working is probably my number one thing that I think is important for our team is just every single day come in, work hard, get better and improve, and keep that blue collar mentality. And I think that's really what resonates with me. And I think what's so important to this area, I think this area is a hardworking blue collar town. I mean, that's what it is. It's tough. There's a lot of things that, this town has overcome and the, adversity that has come through Detroit and these guys, the city and the team, they battle through and in the end, they persevere. And we just got to keep doing that, because at some point, we'll get all that, we'll break through. And, when that happens, it's going to be pretty exciting. We just got to get to that point.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep. Absolutely. Good to see everybody.
Thanks,
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.